It all started in the tense glare of a live television studio. You could feel the electricity in the air, that heavy mix of confidence and fear that comes when a politician knows he is walking into a trap of his own making. The host, Georgestephanopoulos, sat across from J.D. Vance, the newly minted vice president, calm but sharp, holding in his hand the kind of question that can end a career if answered wrong. The topic was tomhoman, Trump's border czar, and an FBI surveillance tape from September 2024, allegedly showing him accepting $50,000 in cash. The question was simple. Did he keep that money or give it back? Vance tried to play it cool. "George," he said, smiling like a man who thinks charm can erase facts, "you have covered this story ad nauseum. Tomhoman did not take a bribe. It's a ridiculous smear." He leaned forward, trying to look sincere. "He is a good man. He enforces the law. He has been attacked, threatened, and vilified for doing his job." But George wasn't having it. His tone stayed even. His eyes never blinked. "You said he didn't take a bribe," George said. "But are you saying he did not accept $50,000? That's when it began to crumble. You could see Vance blink twice, just long enough for the mask to slip. "Well, he started. I'm sure over the course of Tom's life, he has been paid more than $50,000 for services. The question is, did he do something illegal? And there's no evidence of that." George leaned in a bit closer. "That's not what I asked. I asked whether he accepted that $50,000. The one caught on the FBI surveillance tape in September 2024. Now Vance looked irritated. "George, I don't even know what tape you are referring to. Did he accept $50,000 for what? I'm not even sure I understand the question." George didn't flinch. "You don't know what tape I'm referring to," he said, eyebrows raised. "You're saying you don't know whether or not he kept that money?" Vance shifted in his seat. "I saw media reports that said tomhoman accepted a bribe, but there's no evidence of that," he snapped back. "This is why people don't watch your show anymore, George. You spend 5 minutes talking about a fake story, while real Americans are struggling because Chuck Schumer and the Democrats shut down the government. And that's when it happened." George calmly interrupted him, his voice cutting through the noise like a blade. "I didn't insinuate anything, Senator. I asked whether tomhoman accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI. You did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning." And the screen cut to black. That was it. The moment millions of people saw J.D. Vance try to lie live on national television and get humiliated by a journalist who refused to let him spin. It was one of those rare flashes of clarity in American politics, when the mask of confidence shatters and you see the fear behind it. Because the truth is, Vance knew exactly what George was talking about. Everyone inside Washington knew. The story had broken weeks before. A sting operation, FBI agents posing as business executives, and a bag of $50,000 handed over to Trump's border chief in exchange for promises of future government contracts related to immigration. The whole thing was recorded on audio, and then silence. The investigation was quietly shelved by Trump's Department of Justice, citing lack of evidence. But lack of evidence doesn't mean lack of guilt. It means lack of will to prosecute. And that's what George was poking at, the rot beneath the surface. Because in any other administration, a senior official caught on tape accepting $50,000 in cash would at least be suspended or questioned. But here, the story was buried, the footage locked away, and the man promoted as if nothing had happened. Vance's job that morning wasn't to inform. It was to protect the illusion, to convince the American public that what they had heard didn't matter, that the real problem wasn't the alleged corruption but the journalists asking about it. That's the new playbook. When caught, don't deny, distract. You could see him try every rhetorical trick in the book. First, denial. He didn't take a bribe. Then confusion. What tape are you talking about? Then deflection. The media is obsessed with fake scandals. And finally, the emotional plea. He's a good man. He's under threat. He just wants to enforce the law. It's the same script we've seen again and again. Turn the accused into the victim and turn the questioner into the enemy. But this time it didn't land, because George refused to play along. Every time Vance tried to dodge, George pulled him back to the center. Did he accept the money? Yes or no? And Vance couldn't say it. He couldn't deny it outright, because that would be a lie on record. But he couldn't admit it either, because that would confirm what millions already suspected. That corruption wasn't an accident in this administration. It was policy. What made the exchange even more damning was what came after. Once the cameras cut, the political world exploded. Clips of the interview flooded social media. Every pause, every nervous laugh, every word Vance stumbled over became evidence. Commentators replayed the moment frame by frame. Late-night hosts mocked it. Journalists dissected it. But beyond the spectacle, something deeper was happening. The administration had built its power on controlling the narrative, on convincing its followers that every investigation was fake, every critic was corrupt, every question was an attack. And for years that strategy worked, until the lie was forced into daylight, and the face telling it started to sweat under studio lights. Let's be clear, Tom Homan's alleged crime wasn't small. $50,000 may sound like pocket change in Washington, but the meaning was massive. It symbolized a government official taking money to bend the rules of immigration contracts, using the nation's border for profit. When watchdog group Democracy Forward filed a Freedom of Information Act request to release the tape, the DOJ refused to respond. And when asked again, they claimed exemptions for national security. That's the favorite excuse of every corrupt regime: protect the guilty under the banner of protecting the nation. The CEO of Democracy Forward said it best in a recent interview: "This administration uses every tool it has to keep information from the public. But we will fight this in court, and we are confident the truth will come out." That's the part Vance was afraid of, not the question, but what might follow. Because if the tape ever surfaces, it won't just expose Tom Homan. It will expose the entire machine that protected him. It will show that the rot runs deeper than one official. And so when Vance sat there on live TV, his mind wasn't just on the question in front of him. It was on everything behind it. The memos, the phone calls, the favors, the silent understanding that certain people would never be touched by the law as long as they served the right master. When George ended the interview with that simple phrase, "You did not answer the question," it was more than a closing line. It was a verdict. Because Vance didn't just fail to answer, he exposed the very strategy of evasion itself. His nervous laughter, his sudden attack on the media, his long pauses, all of it told the story he was trying to hide. You could see it in his eyes, the moment he realized that silence had become confession. And that's the danger of live television. It doesn't give you room to hide. There are no aides whispering corrections, no editors to cut the embarrassing parts. The camera doesn't lie. It captures every tremor, every hesitation. And that's why the moment went viral, because everyone watching could see the truth, even when the words tried to deny it. In the days that followed, the administration went into damage control. Spokespeople released statements accusing the press of twisting Vance's words. Homan himself appeared briefly on Fox News, calling the allegations ridiculous and claiming the money was part of a legitimate donation for operational funding. No one believed him. Even conservative hosts looked uneasy repeating the lines. Meanwhile, independent investigators kept pushing. The FOIA requests piled up. Congressional Democrats called for hearings. Leaks began to surface that the FBI tape did exist, and that at least 2 agents had testified under oath confirming the sting operation. It wasn't rumor anymore. It was a slow-burning fuse waiting to explode. And Vance's credibility, it collapsed overnight. What was supposed to be a friendly Sunday interview turned into a career-defining humiliation. The clip became a case study in how not to lie on camera. Political science professors used it in lectures about rhetorical failure. Even within his own party, whispers began. Why didn't he just deny it? Why did he freeze like that? But that's the point. When you spend years defending corruption, eventually the lies start to eat themselves. Eventually the performance cracks, and what's left is a man babbling on live television, unable to remember which version of the lie he's supposed to stick to. And that's where we are now, a political landscape built on evasion, denial, and projection. A system where loyalty matters more than truth, and where every question is treated as an attack instead of an opportunity for accountability. But moments like this, the ones that slip through, where the camera captures the truth before it can be spun, those moments matter. Because they remind us that even in a world of noise, the truth still cuts through. When someone has the courage to keep asking the same question, did you take the money? And that's why what happened between Georgestephanopoulos and jdvance is bigger than one interview. It's a snapshot of the entire era, an age where the powerful think they can gaslight their way through evidence, and where journalists are forced to become the last line of defense between fact and fiction. When you watch that clip, don't just see a politician stammering. See the system behind him trembling. See the fear of exposure that no amount of spin can hide. And remember this, the truth doesn't vanish when ignored. It waits, it lingers, it re-emerges in the silence after the lie.